Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that shaped how they see life, offering you daily reminders that wisdom can be found in the most unexpected places. Today's guest is Clementine Moss, the powerhouse drummer behind Ze Parela and a spiritual counselor who spent over 30 years weaving together the seemingly opposite worlds of hard rock and meditation. She's someone who finds transcendence both behind the drum kit and on the meditation cushion. Let's step into Clementine's world and hear the words that have guided her unique journey. Tell us your name and what you do.
So my name is Clementine Moss, and I'm a writer and a musician.
Oh, you're like the third musician I'm having on the podcast.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite quote?
Well, let's see. I don't know that I have a quote necessarily that I live by, but I am reading. I've kind of dived into the writer Henry Miller a lot lately. He's a writer that I read when I was a teenager, and I'm revisiting him. So I'm working through a lot of his books right now. And there's a quote that really stands out to me in a book called Stand Still Like the Hummingbird. And the quote is, when you realize, and he's talking about being creatively blocked. And he says, when you realize that you can neither write nor not write, when you're convinced that all the exits are blocked, either you take to believing in miracles or you stand still like the hummingbird. The miracle is that the honey is always there, right under your nose, only you were too busy searching elsewhere to realize it. The worst is not death, but being blind to the fact that everything about life is in the nature of the miraculous.
Wow, that's profound.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah. As much as I understand it a little bit, can you explain what he's saying to me in layman terms?
Well, yeah, I think that the reason that I really like this really jumped out at me when I read it was because I think a lot of our suffering comes from looking outside of ourselves for happiness or for proof of the divine or proof of good or something outside of ourselves to prove something to ourselves that we're worthy of being here. And I love the idea of standing still like the hummingbird, because the hummingbird is so fast moving, right? He's like, you can't even see when he's flying. You can't even see his wings. They're moving so quickly, right? And I love the idea of standing still like the hummingbird. Like, what part of the hummingbird stands still when the rest of his body is in this very high speed? And I love that image because I feel like when we do meditation, when we do any kind of spiritual practice, what we're looking for is the part of ourself that stands still, that is eternal, the part of ourself that continues on, even maybe even past this life, that part of ourself that seems um, the true part of ourself outside of outside of who we are as a person. And when I come to find that place within myself, that place that stands still, that place that feels unchanging, that has always been the same my whole life, when I find that place, I feel closer to the divine, and I feel closer to truth, and I feel very peaceful. And a lot of the time, I think in my life, my job has been to catch myself looking, oh, if I had more money, or if I was more successful, oh, if I looked this certain way, I would be happy, right? And none of those things ever really bring the same peace that it brings to just connect to that part of myself that stands still.
Oh, in the text, he said, when we feel that we're blocked, that we have two options. Either we could believe in the miraculous or we could stand still.
I think what he says is that the the worst is not, like we think that dying would be the worst thing, right? That to die is the worst thing, but it's not death, but being blind to the fact that everything in life has the nature of the miraculous. So it's almost as if we don't recognize that miracles are here right now, like everything is miraculous. Life is miraculous. We are here experiencing what we're experiencing. And if we can't see the miraculous, if we can't see the divine in that, then we might as well be blind and dead, really, even, right? It's like death is
Yeah.
the same,
Yeah.
as being blind to that,
I
right?
I know he talks about writing, but one of the things that stands out with the text is the fact that he says everything you've been searching for has been right beneath your nose.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I recognize that terrible suffering happens in life, and for everybody, nobody gets out of that. And yet, I think that even in suffering, sometimes we find lessons, or we find uh, something that will remind us of those small miracles in life. Um, and it's easy to say when you're not in great suffering, to say that you can see life like that. Everybody gets lost in suffering. But when we can bring ourselves back to recognizing the possibility that even the suffering can be bringing us back to the realization of the miraculous.
Yeah, you
I think it's empowering. Yeah.
you're right as this and the sort of discussion not just applicable to writers, even though the example is from a writer. It's for all creative persons out there, people who do creative work.
Yes. Yeah, I think it is, the writers, for instance, this writer that I'm talking about, Henry Miller, he was known for writing very, like very hyper realistic, very dark pieces of literature, right? They were, I think, even in the United States, they're still, in some places, they're still not allowed to be read,
Yeah.
right? Because they were so shocking at the time, that he was really so realistic about his writing. And yet, if I only look at the really like dark details of the book, then I'm missing out on the beauty of his writing. I'm missing out on the soft like insights that he has within the writing. I think, and I love writers like that, where they seem so tough and so gritty on the outside, but then the writing itself is so beautiful, and the messages underneath can be so beautiful. He's describing this life that's very gritty, and yet it always comes back to the writer being so incredibly idealistic about what the possibilities of romance and beauty and love are. Yeah.
Has there been an instance, right, in your life as a writer where you've had the options to either stand still or seek the miraculous? Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think writing is a lot of standing still, even when you're busy working. Even when you're busy writing, a lot of the times I feel like the writing is like I have to write a lot in order to get to the place that I really want of what I really want to say.
Yeah.
And, I think that is the process of writing, at least for me, is to constantly be writing. And then every now and then the core of what I've been trying through all of these pages to get to comes out. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I want to say. So, it is a little bit like, you're trying to stand still within a lot of output. And then maybe the miraculous gets uncovered.
Yeah, yeah. Because most times when people hear the miraculous, they're like that. Yeah, I like that he differentiated between standing still and expecting the miraculous. Because most people they're like, oh, well, if I sit down and do nothing, then the miracle could happen. Or it's like, no, you have to show up, you have to be there, and then the miracle.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And you have to open yourself up to receive the miraculous too, right? And that gets difficult when you spend a lot of your day looking outside of yourself, to 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 gain your worth, um, through your activity. Sometimes to be able to just be still in the world and let go of the striving for things or for something else can open you up, I think, to be able to receive those miraculous things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Clementine, for sharing with us this your favorite quote.
Yes, thank you for asking.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
step back a bit. Why do you think this quote like resonates deeply with you? Why is it your, one of your favorite quotes?
Well, I think it's because, through my life, when I found contemplative practice, meditation, spirituality when I was young. And I think it was because I was trying to figure out why I was unhappy, why I was suffering. And in sitting still, in being silent, in constant practice, meditative practice, I was able to come upon that part of myself that felt eternal and that was already peaceful, that didn't have to do anything to be in alignment with the higher vibrations of
Yeah,
things. So that it was like by standing still, I found the miraculous within me, which then enabled me to open up to see the miraculous and all those things around me. Yeah.
yeah. What's an advice or key takeaways you want my listeners to take from this episode with you?
Mm. Well, one thing I do for myself, and sometimes I ask people if what it would be like if they did this, which was, what if you closed your eyes and right now you knew that you were absolutely perfect as you were? You didn't need to be better. You didn't need to be more fit. You didn't need to be smarter. You didn't need to be more beautiful. You didn't need to be a better at your job. You didn't need to have more money. What if right now everything was perfect as it was? What if there was no need to strive? What if there was no need to be better? And what if all of your actions came from this knowing that everything was perfect as it was, and you got to follow your enthusiasm towards the things that were drawing you? So I'm not talking about, okay, I'm done. I get to lay on the couch all day and watch TV and not do anything. I'm talking about moving in the world from a place of feeling yourself worthy of following the passions in your life, following the things that really that feel aligned with that perfect part of yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think enthusiasm is a good word for it, or maybe creative power or life force. Where does your life force naturally want to go?
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the writing you do and the music you make?
Sure. Well, my primary instrument is drums. I'm a drummer
Oh,
in a rock
wow.
band, and then yeah, and then I write songs. I'm a singer-songwriter as well, and then I wrote a book about using my music career as a way to illustrate my meditation practice, my contemplative practice, my spiritual practice. So it's a memoir that talks about being a rock and roll drummer and being a meditator and how those two things go together.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us, Clementine.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Where can my listeners learn more about you and what you do?
Yeah, I'm at clemthegreat.com, CLEM, clemthegreat.com.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you once again. It's been an absolute delight chatting with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.